Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 18 of our F1 Manager 24 career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Singapore Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live last week from Baku, of course I would highly recommend going back and checking out. It was a chaotic race in Azerbaijan. Sadly, that didn't work out well for us. Both cars failed to see the checkered flag in that weekend, which unfortunately meant, yeah, with the board attending, they have reduced their confidence in my ability as a Formula 1 team principal. You can see currently, I don't know where we can see board confidence. They're low, they're satisfied-ish. But yeah, they're really not happy with how, we were, I think, all hoping we would make more progress this season than we have done so far. But of course, as we return to Singapore, we have got a 1 month break after this weekend, so we need to try and make sure that obviously we just focus on trying to rebuild, restructure, and finish Season 1 with some decent results there, as we're going to need a new chassis, which is going to set us back a fair bit of money on Yuki Tsunoda's side of the garage there, 1.1 million. I want to make sure that we've got at least one spare. And a couple of front wings as well. And all this is doing is really costing us from being able to kind of develop next year's car and everything like that. We're going to spend basically every penny we've got on trying to make sure we build a couple of those. And luckily, yeah, we can get a new underfloor on Liam Lawson's car as well. So as we head forward then towards Singapore, we've actually only got a couple of days before we head into the weekend. And we can't do anything at the moment. Because, yeah, Tsunoda, I think we're going to have to throw him onto some old parts as well then. So we're taking a step backwards once again inside this series. We will have those new front wings and the chassis back on the car ready for next weekend. But ultimately, yeah, this isn't looking great, as Reiner has our top speed so hilariously bad at the moment, and our tyre preservation. Am I missing something? Oh, there we go. Yeah, obviously Liam Lawson has got no gearbox whatsoever in that car, so we're going to have to give him another fairly worn-out one in the end, and on the other side of the garage as well. We're missing suspension, which I didn't even see as well, so this is just really not looking good for us at this stage of the campaign. Luckily, yeah, you can see Yuki's got a fairly decent power unit, but things are certainly looking rough. What else have we got going on? Obviously, Carlo Cristofori and Liam Lawson will both be leaving the team at the end of the year, so not too worried about that. Enrico Cardile is staying as of now, along with Jared Murphy there, but neither of them are particularly happy with things either. We've got a lot to build on before we get to next season, but we've got to just keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully we can try and keep that buffer as well. They see championship-wise, Williams unfortunately had a brilliant result last time out, so we've dropped behind them in the Constructors' Championship. But hopefully we won't lose 8th place to Haas, and maybe if we get a miracle, we could try and beat Williams before the end of the year.
Our Formula 1 season continues here, in the Republic of Singapore. The Marina Bay Street Circuit is lit up and ready for action, looking like some sort of scene from a science fiction movie. But the competition is real, and nothing else can deliver quite like Formula 1.
Red Bull have outscored their rivals to be at the top of the constructors' table right now. And as round 18 gets underway, there isn't much time left for teams to make progress.
Well, here we are then in Marina Bay, and it looks like Saturday's qualifying session with some rain could add a little bit of spice to proceedings. Of course, this place now is actually quite a high-speed circuit in modern-day Formula 1, but I think you still need a fair old bit of downforce as well. You know, the slower sections of this lap are still incredibly slow as well, though. So we'll try and do a few separate things with both of the cars. We'll take them in probably quite different directions to kick off the weekend, and hopefully then, yeah, we'll kind of work out where both drivers are happy and how we can get things sorted. I feel like, in terms of the way we're actually playing the game, I don't feel like we're doing that badly at the moment. I just think we've been quite unlucky throughout this first season as well. And I also don't really want to go under the cost cap if we can avoid it as well. I don't want to be penalised for that, which I have seen a lot of other people do. Like, they'll go way below it and kind of give themselves a bit of a springboard. That's something I want to avoid doing inside this game. So that, I mean, we haven't really checked up on it recently, but that is something that I'm consciously thinking about as well in the background there. As you can see, yeah, Liam Lawson His components are very, very worn out, so he might try and put a fresh one into the car later on in the weekend. As yeah, he's been out there for 5 minutes before the team are already telling him just to be careful on the engine and everything like that, of course. I'm still expecting Tsunoda to be the stronger of our two drivers between now and the end of the year. But I'll tell you what, Lawson has seemingly... He's taken a bit of a turn for the better in recent times, and that is good news as well for us. As, yeah, we get towards the end of the year. I'm hoping his engine isn't going to blow up, though, inside this free practice session. Because, yeah, it would be nice to try and get as much data as we possibly can. And, like I said, I don't really know what setup direction we want to take the car this weekend. So trying to get as much information from both drivers as possible is genuinely very, very useful as well. I forgot to say, actually, in the intro, thank you, everybody, for 3,000 subscribers here on the channel as well. You know, we are slowly ticking away, which is always nice to see as well, of course. You know, we've been playing some GT Manager recently. Some of you guys have been enjoying that. Obviously, it's nowhere near as in-depth as F1 Manager, though, but it is, you know, a fun little game to play on the side. And I do want to bring MotoGP back as well. I just haven't really had the time to play that one recently. Obviously, just been focusing on other things as well. But I do still want to try and, you know, achieve our goal of becoming a MotoGP champion as well at some point in the near future there. As there we go, Tsunoda actually seemingly very, very happy with the car straight off the bat, which I guess is good news. I don't think we can really want to try and tweak too much then with him, so we'll go like that. And I assume Liam Lawson on the other side of things won't be as happy with that car. No, he is not. So, yeah, we'll make some tweaks there. We'll try and bring the setup direction. You know, like I said, we kind of taken the gamble to try and go one way with one car and the other way with the other one. So, you know, now we can do a little bit more with that. And how can I increase my braking stability? We can go like that. Okay. So we'll get him back out there. And yeah, we'll try and get another run's worth of laps on the board. Of course, Singapore now isn't actually as much of a marathon Grand Prix. And it's going to be quite interesting hearing other people's opinions of it. But yeah, obviously, I'd kind of forgotten that obviously Singapore, prior to kind of the new version of the track, had only really ever been won by world champions or, you know, world champion caliber drivers. Now it does seem to be won a bit more by drivers that maybe we don't rate as highly. You know, Sergio Perez, I'm looking at you, and maybe Lando Norris, depending on who you ask as well. But yeah, obviously Verstappen still has... Fun fact, Verstappen has led less laps here in Singapore in real life than Antonio Giovinazzi still, which I think is absolutely incredible, and I just love that as a fact as well there. But in towards the final 20 minutes then of free practice, we seem to be, yeah, down pace-wise, you know, around the Alpines and around the Saubers, which is really not a good place to be completely honest. But hopefully we're going to get one last bit of feedback from the drivers. We could just tweak the setup. And, of course, yeah, qualifying here in Marina Bay as well might deliver quite a bit of intrigue and some different, you know, wet weather conditions. It didn't work well for us back at Zandvoort, but generally should supply, you know, give us a chance to try and spring a bit of a surprise as well. Especially as recently we've struggled to get the car into Q2 on occasions as well, especially on Liam Lawson's side of the garage. Is he going to be able to get us his last bit of feedback? Yes, he is. So I guess that is good news, and we will bring that car back into the pit lane.
Okay.
Yuki is definitely a long way away from that, though. He's just got up to 4 out of the 5 bits of confidence. So as Liam Lawson then rounds his way into the pit box as well. Let's have a look. How is he looking? He's got Yuki in the background, as always, just getting angry with someone. Don't really know what that's about. And you can just see there again. We'll just try and fine-tune everything a little bit more. Can I stop the oversteer? There we go. If we go like that, that's looking pretty good. And apparently you need a better set of tyres on the car. So tyre wear is quite high as well around this venue, but not many tweaks needed to be made to Liam Lawson's car. So we'll send him back out there right towards the end. And Yuki Tsunoda then, how are things looking for you, sir? He's pretty happy. Just struggling a bit to... Apparently got too much traction in the car. I don't quite know how you manage that either, but there we go. Both drivers pretty happy with everything underneath them. I'll see you guys in qualifying.
We're moving on now to the all-important qualifying session.
Executing the perfect qualifying lap around Singapore comes down to absolute precision. The circuit needs high downforce and a good suspension to maximize grip on the bumpy street surface.
Now there's a driver we've been talking about quite a bit. Karun, how will they be feeling today?
Well, Crofty, here is a driver who's just oozing confidence right now. We can see the impact it's having, and I'm sure that'll carry through to qualifying.
And it's almost time for qualifying. You won't want to miss that.
Well, a very, very soggy Singapore then as we head into qualifying. Looks like we are going to need the full wet tyres as we head out into Q1 here. But as always, the goal will just be to try and see if we can make it into Q2. Let's immediately just try and freeze frame and we'll take a look at the weather early on and just see. So it is going to be a session where you basically want to go out there as late as you possibly can. Well, everybody else then has come out, done a lap, and then dived their way back into the pit lane here. So we're going to try and send out our cars just a little bit later. They're going to have time to get a couple of runs on the board anyway. You can see Verstappen there fastest by 0.6 of a second over Oscar Piastri. So yeah, we've got, unfortunately we've kind of messed this up that Yuki is, I believe, following Liam Lawson around the lap. But hopefully, yeah, we're going to be able to try and get some decent times on the board there. And this is more about just building up driver confidence, ready for the rest of the session. And please don't fight each other, lads. I would rather we didn't take each other out in Q1 around the Singapore Grand Prix of all places. Although now it is a bit easier to overtake on. I would rather we still, yeah, avoided that one as best as we can as well. Sonoda, just thinking about how to look down the inside there. Through that first sector. I mean, yeah, luckily this first run isn't too important. It is going to be all about getting out there right at the end. And you can see, look at that then. Sonoda P6, Liam Lawson in P9. So happy with the first run. And we got a red flag. And Liam Lawson's binned it. Has he damaged the car? Doesn't look like he's damaged the car too badly. What on earth's he done? He's on an in-lap.
Oh, that'll be a costly crash as the car makes contact with the wall. And even if they do make it to the race okay, they've clearly got a challenge on.
I don't get how he's done that. He's on an in-lap and he's gone and binned it. Like, what are we meant to do about Liam Lawson right now? We got 20 minutes to try and get the car repaired. And Lawson is completely out of the session. Luckily, we do now know it is time just about for the dry compounder tyre. So with that red flag then, hopefully is going to be coming to an end. Let's just double check. We've got 4 minutes left of the session. And it is at 0.97 mil. So is that going to still keep coming down? It's actually meant to go the other way slightly. So I reckon we'll get Yuki back out there, but we're also going to send him out on another set of the intermediates. So that's going to be my gamble here, late on in the day. And hopefully, yeah, that's going to be enough to try and see him through. What tyres is everybody else on? Everybody else is on the intermediates as well then. So will we see other times improve? Will we see Sonoda potentially make his way into Q2 in fairly unstrenuous circumstances here? Everybody making their way back out into the circuit. We've got a bit of free space tucked up behind one of the Saubers, and it's actually Fernando Alonso that was the first one that opted to go back out there. And yeah, if that rain does start rolling in again a little bit more than anticipated, that could be incredibly useful. We're quite far safe at the moment, but yeah, every single driver needs to try and get back out there. As I mean, could this have been Lawson a golden opportunity to get himself into Q2? As soon as we start believing that he's confident again on this game, he immediately goes and throws it away, which is a rather concerning, you know, kind of trend that we still seem to be happening. What are we going to see split times then by Yuki Tsunoda through that first sector? He is going to go green, 29.4. So, yeah, looks like the track conditions are staying very, very stable, though, for everyone. So I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of movement in kind of, you know, we're not going to see a lot of unpredictable movement in the running order either here. As he makes his, oh, that's not good. Well, how has a Ferrari jumped us on a qualifying lap? Carlos Sainz has just mugged us here. Is that potentially going to screw us over by the end of qualifying? We'll have to wait and see. Or are we just simply that slow here at Marina Bay as well? As we'll try and get a bit of slipstream then off of the Spaniards down in towards the final few corners of the lap. I thought, yeah, he'd given ourselves plenty of room to that car behind. I mean, really, that is all on Carlos Sainz there. But don't think, hopefully, it's going to cost either team too much here right towards the end of the session. As Alonso then, look at that, 5 seconds clear at the top of the board. So everybody is clearly going to have to try and finish this run. And we are going to try and make sure that, yeah, whether Tsunoda finishes this lap and improves or not, he's going to try and go for a second flyer as well, as he's just about got enough time to stay out there. This is more just in case, you know, the track does continue to improve as well, as we've gone 7/10 clear of Zhou Guanyu just behind. Will we be able to get past him, though, on the road? Yes, we will. Zhou Guanyu opts to stay out the way, and Sector 1 split there, pretty much even by Yuki at the moment. So that's a really, really good sign there. Gasly now up into P4. Piastri goes to the top of the board there, so you can definitely see that, yeah, Sainz and I did cost each other a bit of time. There's Ricciardo now up into P4. Bottas up into 7th place, though, so that's the one that makes me a little bit more nervous. Sauber don't usually make it into Q2 in this game. So as we drop down the order further and further, Lawson is definitely out. Stroll is definitely out as well. Perez is definitely out. So is Charles Leclerc. I think we're safe. I think we've done this. As a few drivers then not able to get their lap times on the board. And we've had a couple of stinkers then out in qualifying. I mean, Lawson's still ahead of Miata and Logan Sargent here. Are we seeing Yuki improve? Yes, we are through Sector 2. 40.558. And I mean, yeah, with a couple of big names out, this does present us an opportunity as we get into Q3 there. Through the final couple of corners, Yuki Tsunoda's going to go. He's completely ran out of battery charge, but maybe we can just try and get ahead of Kevin Magnussen once again. They're out of the final turn. Is it going to be an improvement? Yes, it is. He goes P11 in the end. I'm happy with that. Well, there we go then. Having a look at the results from Q1. Plenty of grid penalties as well, which might help us out. Carlos Sainz, George Russell, Ricciardo, Albon, Gasly, Valtteri Bottas, Esteban Ocon, Zhou Guanyu, all with penalties here. But the bigger talking point, Charles Leclerc, Sergio Perez, and Lance Stroll all out in Q1. Lando Norris and Verstappen barely scraped by either. So this suddenly gives us a huge chance. And I'm worried that Liam Lawson is basically out for the entire weekend. We're going to have to put the other ERS in that's also got major damage. Because he has, I think he's, he's trashed the gearbox, hasn't he? Which is pretty wrecked as well. It might simply be that Lawson's just going to run until he retires from the Grand Prix a bit later on. Because he's simply gone through all of his available car parts. That's his fault, not mine. All our focus is going to be on Yuki throughout the rest of the weekend. And having a look then into Q2, once again, it looks like it's going to be another session of wait right until the very end. Yeah, the rain, once again, it always seems to almost reset the rain in each session inside this game. And it looks like, yeah, it doesn't actually simulate it very accurately because obviously we have that 20-minute red flag. So Q2 now is starting before Q1 ended for some reason, which is very, very peculiar inside this game. But yeah, we're going to try and just wait until the end of the session and just go for one run that will hopefully make the difference. Here we go then. Yuki Tsunoda starting his one last-ditch run here in qualifying. And you can see not that many cars out behind me. Actually, a lot of drivers opting not to go back out for some reason. So again, we could see some shockers out in qualifying here. Verstappen's out there. Sainz is in the pit lane. Oscar Piastri is out there. Alonso is in the pit lane. Norris and Ricciardo are both in the pit lane, as Hamilton's out in the pit lane as well. And look at that, Zhou Guanyu immediately will go up to P2 then. So surely we are about to see another few shocking results out in Q2. As Tsunoda there are 30.3 with the worsening track conditions. That's not too bad for him at the moment there. And Verstappen again, by just being rapid on his first run, he's 1 second clear of anybody else. At the moment, he was 1.5 seconds clear of anybody else on that first run. He might be able to luck himself into Q3, but he is going out again. He seems to be one of the only ones trying to play it safe here in qualifying as well. Like I said, with all these grid penalties potentially affecting other cars as well, we might be able to get ourselves right up the order and try to just park the bus as we head into the Grand Prix. Sector 2 split at the moment is not looking bad for Yuki, 41-3. But as the clock strikes down towards 0 then, I don't think one of those Mercedes is going to get a run out right towards the end there. As Verstappen improves to a 36.1, he's 3 seconds clear of anybody there. Not for any much longer. Alex Albon will finish off his run there and move up into P2. Gasly, Hulkenberg, Hamilton, Bottas all out in Q2. Will Yuki Tsunoda be joining them though? Surely not. At the final corner, Tsunoda goes P3 on the board then, and that's going to knock Ricciardo out into the drop zone. I believe George Russell, yeah, is still out there right now. Are we going to see him able to improve as well as he makes his way down in towards the final corners? Is it going to be him? Is it going to be Lando Norris out in Q2? I think my money's on Lando Norris right now, but Oscar Piastri is trying to do his best ever to help his teammate there by diving George Russell down in towards the final couple of corners. Through they're going to go. Oscar Piastri's already safe, but he is going to improve up the order as well. And Russell will go into P4. Norris out of Q2. Well, this is easily got to be one of the wildest qualifying sessions I've ever seen in Formula 1. Russell and Sainz as well with grid penalties. So, I mean, we could end up lining up like P3, P4 here. It's basically a battle between Verstappen, Piastri and Alonso for pole. I think Verstappen's probably going to claim it. Oh, we got another one. We got another red flag. What on earth's happened? Magnussen now's binned it down the end of the back straight, and this could change everything up towards the end of qualifying there. Kevin Magnussen, you can just see making his way. He's done a Lando Norris. He's done a Lando Norris there down the end of the back straight, just locked up into the wall. Again, that's not an in-lap. 2 red flags this session have come on in-laps. And suddenly now, is there going to be a chance to go back out on a set of the dry compound tyres right at the end of qualifying? The rain, what is the rain looking like? What's the weather at? We're at 1.22 mil. We've got 6 minutes left of the session. The water level's not going to change on the track. So I think, yeah, we've just got to try and get out there. I'm going to try and once again give Yuki 2 runs, though, towards the end of qualifying. But yeah, this is risky stuff. Right towards the end of the session there, as everybody else is going to try and get out a little bit earlier. You know what, we're gonna follow the crowd a bit here. We're gonna try and get Yuki back out, make sure he's in some clear air, ready for this final run. Anything can happen right towards the end of qualifying here in Marina Bay, and Yuki Tsunoda hopefully is going to be able to put this car nice and high up the order. Alex Albon is currently in P4 there. Williams, we do not need them to score more points this weekend. Verstappen is a second clear of George Russell, currently on provisional pole, but surely we're going to see the likes of Oscar Piastri and co improve as well as we round our way through those first couple of corners. Like we said, you know, the rain is, you know, the dampness of the circuit, it's not meant to change again, and it just seems now inside this game, F1 Manager, as we get towards the end of Season 1, it's just starting to get a little bit crazy, a little bit peculiar, and I absolutely am loving it. As we see riding with Tsunoda, that first sector split 29.8. That's a better improvement than we saw in Q2, but again, it's kind of difficult to really judge exactly what's going on at this stage of the session there. We just want to try and get 2 clean, tidy laps in with Yuki, so I'm just going to remember to take over manual control and make sure that we don't let him peel into the pit lane there. Alonso improves, goes up to P2. Sainz improves, sets fast time on the board. So clearly, track conditions are still improving a little bit. Everyone gaining more and more confidence in their cars. Surely we're about to see Verstappen slot himself back up towards the front of the running order as the Dutchman across the line. Yes, we will. And goes half a second clear of Carlos Sainz once again there. Alonso still ahead of Russell. Albon still ahead of Oscar Piastri, who's coming up towards the line now. And you'll see Oscar Piastri there will get within a second of the Dutchman at the front of the order. Here comes Tsunoda, though, down in towards those final few turns. I'd love for him to get ahead of Albon and Esteban Ocon here and maybe just try and slot himself up with George Russell in that P5 position as through the final corner he's going to go. Yuki Tsunoda will go P7. 3/10 away from Alex Albon. So we're going to abandon that call in. And we're going to wait and see if he can find just a little bit more here as we go on to his second run. We'll just speed up a little bit. I'm not guaranteeing that we're going to be able to go any quicker here, but we've got to give him an opportunity. We've really got nothing to lose at this stage of the session there. It's pretty much even through that first sector again. I mean, 7th place isn't bad going, but it would have been nice to be ahead of Alexander Albon here. And I mean, really now, it could mean anything could happen in the Grand Prix as well, with so many red flags coming out here in qualifying. Out over the Anderson Bridge, down in towards that final sector again. Yes, Tsunoda's not improving. It's not going to be enough. We may as well bring it back into the pit lane anyway then. But it is going to be P7 provisionally on the grid. But I think we're going to end up lining up about P4 here after all those grid penalties for other cars.
Final checks are being carried out by the teams, and it won't be long until we get this race underway.
The walls around Singapore force the cars close together, and even the best can waver in the tight spaces. Back in 2011, we saw Lewis Hamilton clip Felipe Massa as the two battled it out. There were certainly some words exchanged after that one, as I'm sure you recall.
The bumpy street surfaces here make this a challenging circuit for the drivers, and the humidity causes them to lose as much as 3 kilos over the course of a race. But it's also tough on the cars, with 23 corners to tackle each and every lap. Good low-speed downforce will make all the difference here. It's race day, and final preparations are underway.
Well, here we are then down on the track, and apparently according to this game it's 63 laps. I'm pretty certain in real Formula 1 it is only 62 still, isn't it? So F1 Manager is completely unplayable. But I believe, yeah, we are going to be lining up P4 then on the grid. Liam Lawson down in P18. For Liam, the strategy today is pretty simple. Start on the mediums and wait for the car to go bang. He's not going to finish. I can just tell you that now. We're not going to bother wasting the money on emergency parts for that car either, because, you know, he's just not going to be able to score, is he? All our focus is going to be on Yuki Tsunoda, and we're going to try and push quite aggressively here. 2-stop strategy, softs to mediums, and then back over to softs. I'm going to try and give him a little bit of extra fuel so we can try and push on at the start of the race as well. But yeah, we'll wait and see as to how things pan out. We've got a lot of very quick cars behind us. I would love to return to the points. Let's see what we can do as we head into the Singapore Grand Prix.
The anticipation is really building here. The fans in attendance are absolutely buzzing with excitement. And it's always an entertaining race when Yuki Tsunoda is involved.
What a day for them, starting on the second row. Holding on to fourth will be a challenge in the race, though.
But there's no more time left. We've got a race on our hands. And this is it, the Singapore Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Well, let's hope then for a nice, clean, tidy start as we make our way in towards Turn 1. And let's just hope, yeah, that we're not going to lose out too many places to our bigger rivals here. We've got Haas not that far behind us, as already you can see Kevin Magnussen there trying to look around the outside of Lando Norris through the first couple of corners. But yeah, you know, Haas, Williams, they are the ones that we really want to try and beat today and make sure we get some good points on the board there. Hamilton, Russell, and you can see as well, obviously, further down the order, Leclerc, Perez, Sainz. They're all going to be carving their way through as the afternoon goes on. But it really is going to be a question of just seeing how quickly those other cars can make their way through the order there, as already Sainz has made the move on Liam Lawson. Like I said, I'm really not too worried about what happens to Liam today. We'll just let him kind of do his own thing. If he gets to the end, well, I'll be shocked, to be completely honest. So we'll just leave him to kind of go at it as you would there. Or, like I said, all of our focus, all of our concentration today is going to be on Yuki Tsunoda and just trying to make sure that we pick up as good a result as we possibly can do here. We know we've got the pace over some of the cars, and it's just a question of how many of them can we beat. And, you know, the likes of Haas, could they help us out here? You know, you'd think for them, sensibly, it's probably worth letting the likes of Hamilton and Russell by, because it might eliminate, you know, point-scoring opportunities for us as well this afternoon. But with a chance of red flags and safety cars as well, anything is possible here on these streets. As Lando Norris goes clean around our outside through the final couple of corners. Not going to worry about that too much by the end of lap 1 there, because we've already got, you know, 1.4 second buffer over Kevin Magnussen further behind. And as long as we try and stay inside that DRS range of Lando Norris through these early stages, which immediately it doesn't look like we will. Lawson's already dropped to the rear of the field, and he's a second behind anybody else by the end of lap 1 as well. So yeah, now, hopefully, if you weren't sure why I wasn't focusing on him already, there is your answer. As already then, looks like Magnussen has got some pace in that Haas behind us. We've opted for the soft compound tyre, which a lot of drivers have done. Haas, though, have opted for the medium, so it is going to be interesting to see, obviously, what they do with their cars as the weekend unfolds. Now, are we going to see Magnussen try and push on or anything like that? As Bottas just makes a little bit of a mistake down at the end of the back straight. Let's take a look. What did he do?
The brakes couldn't cope. They took a gamble, and it was just too late.
Yeah, so Bottas there tripping over a couple of drivers, even Logan Sargent potentially trying to look for a move on him. Let's never forget Logan Sargent, ladies and gents. Always still in our thoughts, a bit like Nicholas Latifi before him there. As Hamilton already, you can see, trying to make a move on Kevin Magnussen a little bit further back. So, yeah, Hulkenberg is the one that's applying the pressure to us. So, yeah, Mercedes immediately then trying to start slicing and dicing their way up through the order. We have got to be careful, though, with the battery usage and the engine temperatures. We do not want to shred the power unit as well as we make our way through this weekend. But, yeah, trying to make good management decisions with the car. Staying out of trouble as best as possible is going to be pivotal if we want to try and get some points this afternoon, as we've got someone gone. And I believe that's Magnussen. And that could be a big incident then. Crashed at turn 13. We saw him bin it in qualifying. And what's he going to do? Well, for us then, at least it's one less car that we've got to worry about battling with. Magnussen in the wars. Yeah, heartbreak for the Haas team, as yeah, one of their drivers then right down to the rear of the field. Still ahead of Liam, though, which is rather impressive as well there. But yeah, now we've really got to still try and make sure that we keep Hulkenberg at bay. So as Hamilton now might be able to try and look for a move on the Haas man in towards that first corner. Not quite able to there, but he is going to try and keep Hulkenberg's focus on those cars behind as well. No, he's not. Hulkenberg's immediately had us anyway. How on earth has he done that?
Okay, mate. No worries. Race is long.
How on earth did he do that? Like, how far behind us was he as we went onto the Raffles Boulevard? He was still about 6/10 back. But he's got the speed. He'll go for a little bit of a late move down the inside. Yeah, Yuki Tsunoda not really able to do anything in that situation. But it's not going to stop us for long. We're going to try and go on the offensive again then. I don't want to spend too much time. No, I don't want to make... I want Hulkenberg to lose the place to Lewis before we do. That's the goal at this stage of the afternoon. As you can see, they're making our way... Oh, we've already done it. We've already done it again. I forget how easy it is to make moves on this game. That's the problem I've got still. I always forget just how easy it is to really be able to do that kind of thing. As Verstappen at the front of the order is just pulling away. Hamilton now and Hulkenberg again. Oh, almost contact through those first couple of corners. They seem to be duking out just a little bit more. So will we be vulnerable then as we make our way back out onto the Raffles Boulevard as well? Hulkenberg, I mean, you can just see how much he's trying to defend from Lewis Hamilton. And this is absolutely fantastic for us. We'll try and see if we can walk away just a little bit here. But again, trying to manage the temperatures and everything like that. Obviously, it is such a humid Grand Prix here in Singapore as well that it is not easy to try and keep everything under control. As further back, Albon is still in that 9th place position. So he's doing pretty well in that Williams. But again, you know, it's going to be the likes of Perez, Leclerc and Sainz that are also got to try and carve their way through the order a bit further back. Lance Stroll as well in P14. We wouldn't expect him to be particularly strong, but he's actually been having a really good season so far. Now you can see, yeah, we've opened up a gap over Hulkenberg, and he will immediately lose the place then to Hamilton as well there. But again, I mean, these two are actually having a good little battle early on in this race. I think, though, Hamilton now is probably free for good, but it's given us a little bit of breathing room as well, as we're just trying to make sure that we look after these soft compound tyres early on in the GP. Obviously, we saw Hamilton try that strategy in real life. Didn't really quite work out for him, as Hamilton now will make the move. Not that I'm too worried, to be honest. I think trying to fight that kind of car is going to be very, very difficult as the afternoon goes on, and the same will be said probably for George Russell in not too long either. The bigger thing today is going to be, whether we see red flags or anything like that. As you can already see, Sainz and Leclerc as well as Perez now all closing in. So this is really not working out well for us there, as Perez now has a look down the inside. And yeah, Tsunoda just getting a little bit forced out there. Are we going to report that to the FIA? We'll wait and see. I think we're okay. As yeah, Perez there. I mean, that was a fairly aggressive manoeuvre, but he did get it slowed down on the inside.
taken.
You can just see there, yep, down the inside he'll go. He did definitely run us out a little bit, but not as badly as I think Tsunoda made it out to be as well there. As what's Liam Lawson up to at the rear of the field? So he's still trying to keep up with Kevin Magnussen, which I guess is quite cute. I mean, yeah, I'm looking at it though. Leclerc, Sainz, they're going to move through. We're going to be down to 10th place. We've got Ricciardo not that far behind either. Stroll not far back. It's not looking good, is it? It's really not looking good for us there, as Leclerc now says thank you. And I think we'll probably see Sainz as well also say thank you. This is the problem I have still with this game, is just how ridiculously OP the front-running teams are. You just cannot really do anything against them inside this game. And even, you know, Aston Martin that have absolutely fallen back in towards, you know, the clutches of, you know, V-Carb and our team and things like that. There as Ricciardo's now gone through and is going to try and push on ahead. Surely that V-Carb isn't going to be that much quicker than us as well as the afternoon goes on. But I mean, Miata's gone from the back of the field up to P13 already. So, again, it's just another weekend, isn't it, where we can't really do a lot against a lot of cars there. Hulkenberg now making his way through as well, as we need to dive into the pit lane because our tyres are shredded. Let's opt then for that set of mediums. And we'll dive into the pit lane at the end of this lap and try to go for that medium tyre there and maybe work a bit of an undercut as Perez into the pit lane a little bit further up. So we haven't done too badly in terms of the tyres relative to a lot of others. But we also have been far from perfect here, as into the pit lane we'll go. We might use Lawson just to give the team a little bit of pit lane training as well there. Is he, to be fair, he could bring out the red flag in this race. That ERS is down to 24%. So if he breaks down somewhere around this venue, it's not going to be looking particularly good for him there, as Tsunoda will re-emerge in clear air. So we're just going to get him just to work those tyres in quite aggressively on this out lap, and obviously just try and see if we can get a bit of an undercut on some of the other drivers as well, as we'll get those tyres back up to scrub. And we'll get him pushing once more there. Verstappen into the pit lane from the race lead. Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. I mean, this was a dominant showing by McLaren, wasn't it, at the weekend? They look to be trying to keep the pressure on to Verstappen as well at the front of the order. And now they've got a 1-2 in this Grand Prix, as Lawson, reporting more and more damage on that car. Again, not too worried. You know, don't crash the car, don't ruin whenever we give you new components, and maybe we wouldn't have such an issue there. As Tsunoda now back into P16. Got a few more cars though into the pit lane now, so he's going to get ahead of Hulkenberg and Stroll. Or just Hulkenberg, it would appear. Stroll then, has got the overcut on him, so can't say we're too surprised. And we've pretty much dropped back to where we would kind of expect to be then, haven't we? Inside this Grand Prix at the moment. It's just another day where we just simply have not got a car that can fight. As Liam Lawson, down into P21. DRS is completely disabled now on that car. So he is really in the wars at this stage of the afternoon. But as we try and close in then on half distance, we're still battling it out with Hulkenberg, it would appear. But it's not looking like at the moment that it's going to be for points or anything like that, which makes our life even more difficult there. Lawson, we'll bring you in onto hards. Again, just keep going, just keep driving, get as far as you can, mate. Before the car breaks down, and hopefully if you do bring out a red flag, then it'll work out well for the other car. Maybe Crashgate 2.0 is happening here around Marina Bay, but I mean, ultimately, as I've said before, simply, V-Carb is too quick in this game right now. I mean, we can hope that Stroll is able to get the jump on Ricciardo, but all of those big five teams as well, way too fast for us to really be able to compete with either, so we can't really do a lot. We just kind of try and stay out of trouble and pray that kind of the front runners have issues and things like that as well. There's Verstappen has already lapped us, and now we've got a safety car. Lawson out of the Grand Prix, and I told you it would happen. And that car has ground to a halt in the middle of the road. It's a disappointing sight for Liam Lawson, his second mechanical failure in a row. But that one we kind of knew was going to happen all weekend long. So what does that mean then for the race strategy? I reckon it's going to be worth bringing Yuki in now and trying to get him to stay out to the end of the GP then. He's basically got to do half distance on this set of tyres. But obviously, we'll make sure that we tone him back and everything like that. Hopefully, we'll be able to get the lap back as well from Verstappen, which would be good. Because otherwise, we are in bigger trouble in this Grand Prix as well. If we can't get that lap back, then it's game over. We may as well try and save the engine. As everybody then into the pit lane. Verstappen, yeah. So we are second in the queue. So hopefully, yeah, we are going to be able to let ourselves back by pretty quickly here. Once, obviously, more of the drivers in the queue have bunched up. But of course, yeah, once we are allowed to let by, we basically need to immediately push. Because, yeah, we'll probably have one extra lap, won't they? So are we allowed to go by yet? Come on. We want to try and go for it.
Need a big push.
Come on. Let's through. What's the game doing? I hate the way it does this sometimes. There we go. Race control now are letting us by. So we need to try and just push on this outlap then. And is the safety car going to be letting cars? No, it's not. We got a chance. Okay. Sometimes what it does is let everybody unlap themselves and immediately we'll bring the safety car in. That doesn't seem to be happening this time. Safety car is still going to be coming in, so we might not be able to do a lot. We might be incompletely, we might not be able to do much still towards the end of the afternoon. As there we go again. It's let the front runners go, and effectively now we've got two separate Grand Prix. I mean, Tsunoda is leading the second group, but how can you constantly do this inside this title? And Ricciardo again looks like he's been given another lifeline here as DRS now re-enabled. I mean, to be fair, Tsunoda and Miata seemingly just able to pull away from the rest of the back markers. But, yeah, unless we get something else. Again, it's just those little things inside this game that are still frustrating. As oh, we got another one. We got another one. We got another incident. We've got Russell. What's happened, eh? What has happened here? We got George Russell, Daniel Ricciardo. Don't even know where they are. Final corner of the lap, and they've just come together. Ricciardo's in the wall. George is not happy about it. Not really sure why. He did drift out towards the Australian. And Ricciardo then in big trouble here late on in the day. He, I think, has lost some of his front wing there, and he's going to have to limit. He's lost some of his rear wing. So that's going to be really bad for Daniel Ricciardo then. He's got a bit of front wing damage as well on that end plate. As Stroll, yeah, George Russell as well is struggling. I think he might just have a penalty, though. Yes, he will. 5-second penalty for George Russell in this race. So if we did get another safety car or something like that, then maybe there is an opportunity here towards the end of the afternoon as Ritomo Miata looking pretty comfortable in that P11. But still, Yuki Tsunoda, not a million miles away. And at the moment, it is still just, yeah, your 5 big teams that are at the front of the order here. So, if we got a safety car and George Russell ended up, obviously, just right in front of us, that could be pivotal by the end of the afternoon. But Miata seems to have too much pace. Stroll seems to have fixed his mechanical gremlins as well. So it's really not looking that great for us still. Every time we just want to try and believe inside this game still. F1 Manager just slaps me back into reality and goes, no, Matt, you're not going to have that much luck inside this title. Annoyingly, all of our luck as well seems to be in qualifying. What's Magnussen done? Second time this weekend he's binned it here. Third time this weekend he's going to bin it.
But no matter the severity of the crash, it's always good to see the driver emerge unharmed.
Well, I'm a little bit gutted we haven't got a safety car, to be honest. It sounds terrible when a driver's had an incident, but yeah, as Magnussen becomes our second retirement of the day there. I thought this circuit would be more chaotic inside this game, I'll be completely honest. I thought we were going to have a few more incidents and things like that. As Russell into the pit lane. Are we? We're going to be up into the points, surely. We are going to be up into the points. Okay. So now we have got an opportunity then. We got a 1 second gap to Alex Albon behind. Russell's going to have to try and carve his way back past Hülkenberg and Albon. And if we can just push on for a little bit then, maybe, just maybe, obviously we need to stay within 5 seconds of George by the end. Could we now suddenly be on for a chance at a point towards the end of the afternoon? We'll make sure that Albon is out of the DRS range. And even if we could just be awkward for George Russell towards the end, we know that Mercedes is going to be much quicker than us. But if Albon can just get the elbows out, which he hasn't. I think Russell is still going to get me. No, Russell's already taken the penalty. So that's where the problem lies then at this stage of the day. But we need to basically tell Yuki, go aggressive. Try and make the overtake. Come on. Can we try and do anything against Russell towards the end of the afternoon? If we can just somehow hold him up for a couple of laps here, which we won't. Maybe, just maybe. Yeah, I mean... There's no way we stay within... we have to beat him, don't we? We can't even just finish directly behind him at this stage of the afternoon. We've got to beat George Russell on the road, and it's not going to happen. We might be the only driver, though, that's opted to go, you know, with no pit stop towards the end of the day. But yeah, unless Russell somehow has more issues, which I don't think he's going to get, I think we're just going to be bringing the car home for a fairly lonely P11. Charles Leclerc, though, on the other hand, he's nailed the strategy with that Ferrari. Surely Leclerc's not going to go from, like, P18 to take victory here. Surely not. Ferrari have got a 1-2. What on earth is this? Have they done a Fernando Alonso from all the way back in 2008? So we're going to go a lap down again to Leclerc at the front. And someone's binned it. We've got a virtual safety car. Who's binned it? Was that Miata? It is Miata. Out of the Grand Prix instantly. So Ratomo Miata out. Please give us a safety car or something. Please.
Now this, I think, was at turn 13.
In front of the race leader. In front of the race leader, Miata goes and bins it. That could have been so bad towards the end of the afternoon. But I guess it gives us a chance to charge up the battery. I mean, yeah, tyres are not looking particularly great towards the end. But VSEs on this game do last quite a while. So hopefully, yeah, we'll get confirmation of that. And I mean, Verstappen, we've got a great seat in the house for this. Ferrari, I think they've won a race this year, but it hasn't been many, has it? So suddenly now, they've got an opportunity to try and get a win for the first time in I don't know how long inside this series. Can Leclerc hold off 3 seconds from Verstappen towards the end of the afternoon? 3 laps to go, and immediately the answer's no. How is that Red Bull so fast on this game, man? How is it so quick towards the end of the afternoon? As what is the gap? I mean, Tsunoda, yeah, is dropping back towards Albon as well. I think the one stop, or the switching over to the hards was not the way to go towards the end of this one. And Tsunoda, yeah, will drop back down into P12 then. But towards the last lap we go then. Max Verstappen, Red Bull haven't given him the optimum strategy today, but it doesn't really matter, does it? The Dutchman, it's like 2023 all over again for him. He can just dominate anyway here. He's never won, though, the Singapore Grand Prix prior to now. This has always been a bit of a bogey track for Max Verstappen, whether it's bad luck, bad car, or just a lack of confidence there. Through the final corner, the Dutchman is going to win yet again. But I tell you what, Singapore for the front runners, it was certainly an interesting race of strategy. Leclerc P2 ahead of Lando Norris. Your top 3 in your Drivers' Championship once again. Your top 3 finishing order. Will we be able to hold off from Nico Hülkenberg right towards the end of this one? Hülkenberg's going to try and look for it down in towards the final couple of corners. We've got to try and attack. We've got to get the elbows out with Yuki. And he's not going to be able to do it. It's going to be unlucky P13. 4th place on the grid. We simply just did not once again have a car that can compete. And once more, we pay the price.
Yuki Tsunoda makes his way back after the events of that race.
And with a 13th place finish, that sadly means there's no points to be claimed.
Well, Max Verstappen can add yet another podium to his already impressive record.
The wins just keep coming and coming. We'll be running out of superlatives at this rate, Crofty.
And you've got to think that Singapore will be buzzing now for many hours to come. Well, Karun, how do you think they'll be feeling in the team garage at the end of that?
Well, it was a bit of a mixed bag here. Some things went their way, but others didn't. I think their main target now will be finding some consistency for sure.
And a big thanks to you all for joining us this weekend here in Singapore.
Coming up next, we'll be crossing the pond all the way to Texas for the twists and turns of the United States Grand Prix.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Singapore Grand Prix, and Max Verstappen finally breaks his curse here at Marina Bay. Finally, he is a Formula 1 Grand Prix winner. Charles Leclerc ahead of Lando Norris in the end. Ferrari, 28 places gained. They nailed that strategy in the end, and I think any hopes of us beating them was pretty much immediately eradicated there. Perez in P5 ahead of Piastri and Alonso, with Hamilton, Stroll and George Russell rounding out your top 10 there. Albon just missed out on a point ahead of Hülkenberg and ourselves. Ocon, Sargent, Gasly, Ricciardo, with Zhou Guanyu and Valtteri Bottas at the rear of the field. Miata Lawson and Kevin Magnussen all failing to see the checkered flag. That means, what, with 6 races to go of the year, Verstappen, he's got one hand on the trophy. We've known this for a while, though. 14 wins, 16 podiums, and 3 sprint wins as well. He has absolutely looked unstoppable this year, as Charles Leclerc has had 1 win. Obviously, Lando Norris taking 3 as well, and yeah, Verstappen with the other 14. Constructors-wise, Red Bull once again open up that lead at the top of the table there, ahead of McLaren. Ferrari still in P3, and still 3 points behind Williams as well. We've got to take any opportunity we can, but ultimately, yeah, chances are running out. Past this pit stop award, we got nothing to show for it once again, and we are still 9th overall, just ahead of Williams. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back later on in the week then ready for the US Grand Prix.